There must be an event or situation that anyone would really like to turn a blind eye to, or do not want to face in their life. What should we do in such a case? Should we just ignore it? There are things in our lives that we can ignore, and there are things that we should not ignore. You should never ignore what you cannot avoid, either in your mind or reality. You have to face that incident and that situation head-on. That is the only and best way to solve the problem. To resolve conflict, face it. This happened when I was in the middle of a romantic relationship with her. One day, I happened to hear a story about her first love. Her man loved and cared for her very much, but she said that something prompted her to break up with him. This is what happened. Her family was very poor, but the man's family was very rich. As they became friends, she started visiting his house, and at some point, she felt that his gaze towards her had shifted. The change was due to her family circumstances, originally having a complex about her family's situation. The self-respecting woman shook him off and left despite the man's persistent clinging. When I heard that story, I thought, I've been through a breakup before too, and just let it go. But that wasn't all. When I had some free time, the scene of her first love suddenly entered my mind. And then their love story unfolded almost automatically. I don't know for sure how far their relationship progressed, but I thought that, as is always the case with relationships between a man and a woman, they also developed a deep connection. Even I don't know the truth yet. Anyway, it is true that at that time, it was not something I could easily shake off. Their love scene, which comes to mind so frequently, caused quite a lot of pain in my mind. So whenever I thought of it, I tried to shake it off. But it was only then, and whenever I had free time. It penetrated my mind one day. It was like a fighting dog. Whenever I had time, it attacked me. I couldn't take it anymore. That night, before going to bed, I calmed down and pictured in my mind the scene of their love, holding me persistently and not letting go. And then I let the thoughts flow. The thoughts always flowed in the same way. I remained merely a spectator of the scene. I didn't disrupt the flow by intervening in scenes. I wanted to reject as I used to. I even imagined the scene where she had sex with the man. This process was painful for me. But the amazing thing is that after that, the thought never bothered me again. It's really strange. If you have thoughts that are bothering you, or that you want to get rid of, don't ignore or avoid them anymore. Understand and face the thoughts, even if they are painful. Confront and address that thought. Then it won't bother you anymore. In fact, the reason my heart was suffering was due to the desires of the ego within myself. My empty ego wanted to possess her as my own. This desire was wounded by the story of her first love, or rather, by my own delusional imagination. Be the one watching. There is something we must know in this process. It is the I ego in our hearts that feels pain, and it is not life that feels pain. So, on the one hand, we have pain in the heart ego, and on the other hand, there is awake consciousness life that watches the pain. No matter how painful our heart is, the consciousness that watches, it can remain fully awake. The person who watches the pain, the consciousness that contemplates the pain, is life, our unchanging essence. Comparing this to a play, we can say that I ego is a play being performed on stage, and life, our essence, is the audience. No matter how scary a scene is being performed on stage right now, the audience can just watch indifferently as an observer. Among the audience, there may be people who mistake the events, taking place on stage for reality, and feel fear or even scream, as if they were characters in the events. However, it is important to remember that the audience is a separate entity from the stage. Therefore, there is no need to feel any fear. Likewise, life, our essence, can indifferently contemplate our pain in the heart, like an audience member. Although you may feel the pain while watching it, that pain does not last long. If we understand the concept of I-ego and contemplate our minds, we can heal ourselves from any pain in our hearts. This is because understanding is love. Love embraces everything and melts away all pain. Life, our essence, is an awakened consciousness. If it becomes an observer and understands and watches the pain in the heart caused by the I-ego, the pain disappears, like cancer melting away with a laser. This is the great power of love.